Hi guys, I'm Kalila Reynolds and it's time for another episode of Money Moves brought to you in partnership with EXIM Bank's Business Advisory Service. And today we have part 2 of that conversation about managing risk. This is very important, especially for SMEs, to make sure that you manage that risk appropriately. Matthew Hogarth, commercial attorney, is back with us. Welcome back, Matthew.
Thank you.
All right, so last week you told us about 3 risks and how to manage them. You have 3 more today. What are they?
They are loss of key personnel, data security, and management of capital and cash flow.
Okay, so let's take them one by one. Loss of key personnel. This can be critical, especially to a young organization, a small organization. You have somebody who is very good at what they do, and somebody else recruits them. How do you deal with that?
Correct. They're either recruited or maybe somebody gets ill or they die.
That happens too.
So you have that person, that founder or founders that started the business and something bad, they're for some reason or the other, they're not with the business anymore.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you fall out.
Correct. So, and that's where a business plan or a shareholders agreement could help.
Right.
So succession planning helps to mitigate against this. Who is to take over from each role or critical role in a business. And so that helps us to guide that if something, God forbid, were to happen with one person who was key to the business, who is to succeed them. And then we also have the concept of key man insurance as well, which helps businesses to mitigate against that risk. So if they're
key man insurance.
That's
a real thing, like that's a real type of insurance you can buy?
That's a real type of insurance that you can buy. So if you have someone that is in the business who is integral to it and their presence on a temporary basis may cause loss, financial loss, that is an insurable risk.
So if you're that key man in your organization, you can do that for yourself?
You can do that for yourself. You can designate whomever as the beneficiary, the company or the persons.
Now, I know there are a lot of bosses in particular, or people in management positions who don't want to train anyone else because they feel threatened by someone else coming for their job.
Right.
Is that something that you just have to get over?
Absolutely. If you're thinking about the business and the continuity of it, then there should be 2 persons behind you who are training to take over your position at some time. Or if you want to go on vacation, short or extended, it cannot be that the business grinds to a halt if you're not there.
Makes sense. All right, so the next risk that we want to talk about is data security. This is a big one in this modern technological age. How do you mitigate against that?
Well, ransomware is becoming increasingly prevalent now. There are these idle persons, not just here, internationally, that hack into businesses, their servers. They get control of their information and literally ask the business owners for ransom to release the information or to give it back to them. This can be mitigated against by, you need to have a robust IT infrastructure and IT personnel managing it as well. There's also the concept of what they call ethical hacking. So there are persons that you can hire on a quarterly basis or whatever cadence that you decide is appropriate, that they try to penetrate your business's firewall and security system
just to see if
it's up to scratch. And if it is not, they recommend what patches you should consider.
That's interesting. So cash flow, capital, and asset management, that's another one. So you end up in a cash crunch at some point in time. Is it possible to mitigate against that?
It is, and even the biggest of businesses have these issues. So cash flow is the lifeblood of any business. Without cash flow, you just can't operate. So one needs to think about long term, in the short term, medium term, long term. How do you manage your cash flow? Is it that you take on new shareholders, you do a rights issue, do you have credit facilities through a commercial bank, through the capital markets? Do you have a line of credit, an overdraft? You need to plan, and you need to have that mix of capital planning that is optimal for your business.
So you need to anticipate your needs then?
Absolutely. You can't live day to day in business ever.
You can't live day to day in life.
Absolutely.
Like many people do.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much for these tips, Matthew. Much needed advice.
My pleasure.
Well, that's it for this edition of Money Moves, brought to you in partnership with EXIM Bank's Business Advisory Service. Check out their website, eximbankja.com. I'm Kalila Reynolds. See you next week.